Chops Garage is proud to be sponsored by Car Vertical, the largest online database of vehicle information. Use the link in the description down below to find the true history of your vehicle or one you're about to buy.
Right, we're down moors and we've got the Nissan here. The boys did me a massive solid. Jumped straight on it this morning because they wanted to test it obviously when it was cold. Jumped straight on it and they found that there is a code, which I missed somehow, for a glow plug. Let me take the lens off a second. Scratch my lens. Yeah, they found there was a code for a glow plug and for the glow plug relays, but they've tested the glow plug relay and it does activate. They think that perhaps because the one glow plug is down, the relay's playing up. So they've ordered up the glow plug and they hope to have that back to me today. So a nice simple one. They said actually this morning it started really well. So obviously it was the fact that it was so cold when I was testing this car. It was so cold with the one glow plug being weak, it wasn't enough to get it started. So we've got the glow plug on, and well, we should have the glow plug on and should be able to get out to the customer because their check will clear today. So I'm pleased about that. The funny thing is, if I'd have sold this now the sun's out, it probably wouldn't have been starting that badly. But you know, no crap goes out the door, does it? We'll get it sorted properly. Just had a bit of a result on the old Jag. So those of you who remember this car, had it for a while now, put it up for sale just at 2,995 to clear it out with the known faults that the car's got, which has delivered me a lot of dippy people messaging me, as you can imagine. Yes, I did reword that as I was saying it. I put it on eBay and on Facebook. Now on eBay, of course, I've had the typical people messaging me offering less than the wheels alone are worth. Daft offers. On Facebook, lots of people wanting to swap for different cars. Not doing any of those things. That just tells me everything I need to know about the people buying the car. It needs to be sold to someone who recognises that the car is probably a 5k car, and it needs a little bit of fettling, but you'll still be well under 5k. Anyway, so I came back from being out, just a reminder actually for the story to make any sense what the problems with the car are. You get that whiff of diesel through the vents when you start the car up, or that or exhaust. We thought it was, and the rear parking sensors don't work, and there's a bit of a whoosh from the engine bay when the turbo kicks in, so we think there might be a pipe that needs sorting out on it. So came back from being out today and there was a couple of chaps here waiting to look at the car. Now I wouldn't obviously normally work by appointment, which meant I would have cleaned this car beforehand, but I've been using it, hadn't had a chance to throw a bucket over it yet and wasn't expecting any viewings, but they just turned up. They're waiting here to have a look at it, looking at it for their son, for his son that was with him, so that was why there was a couple of chaps. Makes sense. So they went over the car inside out, trying every knob, button and switch. Oh, I explained to them I've been using it all the time, and it's a good reliable car. It just has some faults that need sorting out. What have they done with the vents? They've got the vents to close. Hang fire. These are one of the faults I said it had. Are you telling me all along the vents have worked and I just had them set up wrong? Look at that! Well, there's one over here that hasn't done it. Look at that! I thought they weren't working at all. Knock me over. Well, the story of this video was going to be that as a result of them coming, I found a fix on the car. It wasn't that fix, genuinely. So there must have been something. They did mention, I heard them whittling on about something in the settings about the vents, but I didn't realise they'd actually done anything about it. That's classic. Wasn't what the issue was. Let me open the bonnet. The issue was the smell coming through the vents. Now, I'd taken the car down to the mechanics. They'd had a brief look at it. It wasn't booked in for them to actually do the work. They had a brief look at it and said, oh, we think you've got a split EGR pipe down the bottom, but we can't 100% see it. It just looks like it's a bit crusty. Anyway, the chap who came and looked at this with his son had a torch, and he was going away in the engine bay. And let me show you what he found. So yeah, he had the engine running for absolutely ages. I did worry they were going to run it out of fuel. But looking all over, and in the end, what he spotted was down here. There was, you can't see it now, but you could see something dripping down. It's a bit moist down there as well, and you could see little bits of steam coming off as it dripped down. And it seems to be at the end of the fuel rail there, which with this cover off here doesn't look too bad to get to. So why I'm so pleased about that is that we're about to look to do an EGR pipe down the other side of the engine bay and possibly end up playing a bit of part starts while doing it. Now we know exactly where the leak is coming from. I can direct the boys straight to it. And to be honest, it was the only thing stopping me from using the car more was the diesel smell. I wasn't really bothered about the sort of boosty noise because it's still got loads of power anyway. Now, obviously, as I'm talking this way and the car's still here, you know the guys didn't buy the car. I think, as always, you're honest with the hardest cars I find to sell are the ones you're honest about the faults on, because people just, I don't know, I think they come along and hope that they can just put a bit of chewing gum on it and it's going to be done and dusted. I think that they expect they're going to get an actual working car for half the price. They don't realise that, you know, it's a lower price because you are going to have to get the spanners out and get some work done. Otherwise it'd be full price. Like I always say, if I knew exactly what the faults were and had them fixed, then the car would go up for retail. So, I mean, personally, like I say, I would fix that leak and drive it exactly as I wouldn't do any other work on it at all. It's got long enough MOT, drives really nicely other than that. So yeah, I hope we can get it down to the garage now, get them to sort that leak out, because that's the only thing really that stopped me from keeping it and using it. Now I've got rid of the Alpha. I haven't got too many toys, have I? That I drive around daily. I've still got the Suzuki Swift, which I drive around daily, obviously. Not daily, but use as a daily. But that's really more for tracking as well. I do like using this Jag. It's a beautiful drive. So yeah, it's funny, I've never been so pleased to not sell a car, but I got a free diagnosis, so we know where to point now. And also now I've got my vents working as well, at least most of my vents working. Right guys, I've just given Moores their Christmas present because I've been down and paid the bill. Ouch. So that was the bill for this, for the RAV4. So those who don't remember, we bought this from Part Exchange Yard. It drove really nicely. I drove it for a couple of days. So I put it down for MOT because it's a super clean little car. I know it's a 2006, but it's a super clean car. Had a really good service history, and they are very popular around here, and they hold their money quite well. So after driving it for a couple of days, I think it was okay. It did have some slow starting, which I asked them to check out. It went down for its MOT, had the MOT work. It did need a bit for the MOTs. It needed new brake pipes. It was struggling with its emissions, so they put emissions cleaner through it. Got it through its MOT. They were servicing it as well, but unfortunately on its road test, the engine seized on it, didn't it? When we got into looking at it, there was an invoice in the car for new injectors not so long ago. What we think is it had an injector leak down, washing down the bores of the car, taking all the carbon and the crud to the bottom, blocked up the sump filter and trashed the engine. So unfortunately, bad luck there with that. I say it had been slow starting at the beginning, so there was an inherent problem already there. That was probably the piston struggling to get up and down the cylinders, or maybe low compression or something like that. So anyway, engine went bang. So I had two options. Do I scrap it and bail out at that point, or do I go ahead and put an engine in it? Well, I decided to go ahead and put an engine in it. Paid £450 for a used engine from eBay. Still got to find out if I can get VAT back on that. A lot of time breakers don't have VAT, so that might be the full cost of it. Had it delivered, the guys jumped on it straight away, put the engine in. They had to re-MOT, I think, because it had run out past the 10-day window, hadn't it? So they had to re-MOT it. And obviously they had to refresh all the fluids again, because obviously with the engine out, you've got to put new gearbox oil in, you've got to put new engine oil in, all of that had to be redone. So we've got the final bill for it, guys. Let's have a look. Ready for it? £1,143.60. Ouch. Now bear in mind that included the MOT work, which was about 300 quid's worth. So realistically the engine fitting was around about 700 plus all the fluids included. Take out all the fluids included probably about 600 odd, which I'd factored about 10 hours labour, so it's probably more like 12 hours labour on that. So hefty bill. In that we've got the Winds Extreme for the initial thing to try and get it through emissions, the air cleaner, some bushings, bulb, glow plugs, brake pipe, brake fluid, oil filter, antifreeze, flywheel bolts, hose clips. So all the fluids are fresh in the car now. They had to renew the offside and rear side brake pipes, bleed them off, renew a number plate bulb, renew an offside and near side front anti-roll bar bushes. Then the engine failed, so they had to do the engine swap. So remove the engine and gearbox. Some of the labour was swapping all the parts over from the other engine, because even when you get the engine you still got to put the gearbox on it, but the guys decided that a lot of the parts on the old engine were better than the new engines, just swapped a load of that stuff over, so that took a little bit of time. We've got the gear oil for the gearbox there. So yeah, 1100. So there is VAT in that, which is £190.60, so that will take us down to what, 950. If you minus out the MOT work on that, you're probably talking around about, like I say, around about £600 for fitting the engine, which is pretty much where I thought I was going to be with it. But doesn't make it any the less painful. Let's go and look at the total numbers. Now, obviously, dates and invoice numbers get put into this a bit later, so don't need any accounting people get upset here. So we bought the RAV4 for £1,612. The engine was £450. I don't think I'm getting any VAT back off that. I'm chasing them up, but I think the parts guys aren't VAT registered. Moors, we've got the bill for £1,143.60. The warranty is going to cost me about £150. So totally I'm in it for £3,355.60, but I've got £192 VAT I can get back. The going price for this is around about 4 to 4.5 grand. I'll probably 3,995 it to get shot it quickly. We could put 4,495 on it. Wouldn't be an outrageous price based on local pricing, but I don't know if it's going to shift that. Maybe we'll start out there. Now, this is the painful thing. Because I got the car cheap, so you can see why I bought it in the first place. I didn't get it cheap. But because I bought it cheap and the sale price is that much higher, the margin is high. So the difference between what I bought the car for and what I'm going to sell it for is really high. And I pay VAT on that. I don't pay VAT on the net. So I don't pay VAT after I've taken out Moore's bill and after I've taken the engine out. I pay it before that. So as far as the VAT man's concerned, I'm making £2,383 on the car. So I've got to pay the VAT man £397.17. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So yes, I've got 192 VAT coming back to me, but I'm paying out nearly £400 in VAT. Really painful on these cars where you put a lot of money into them that you actually end up paying VAT on all this money you're putting into the car. Anyway, so the net is £242.23 if I sell at £3,995. Add the VAT back in, I'm claiming back, gives me £443.83. If I end up there on this, I'll be happy. Obviously, I'm still not out of the woods. We could get bills afterwards. But if we end there, then, But if we end there, then I'm not going to be so upset about it. I'll live with that. In fact, at the end of the day, if I get out of it breaking even, I'll be happy. But I can't break even at this point. This is the point you're going to make. You can't break even at this point because there still could be other bills that come out of it. So you could say, right, just try and break even to get out of it now. No, because I'm still on the hook for 6 months, potentially, aren't I? I mean, in reality, this is a 2006 car. And after about 30 days, I'd say anything that happens with it is going to be fair wear and tear because it is a 2006 car with 90-odd thousand miles on it. So yeah, I would say most things would happen after this point are fair and wear and tear, but I do have to give myself that bit of leeway. But at least we know it's going to make a decent truck for someone. I've driven it for a day and drives really nicely, performs really well. And like I say, for this age of vehicle, it's super clean. Around here, a lot of these have been beat to death. This one hasn't got a tow bar on it. It doesn't look like it's had a hard life. Like I say, it's the right spec with a nice leather interior on it. The 6-speed gearbox. It's just such a shame this wasn't ready when we were in snow last week because I had the phone ringing off the hook for small 4x4s then. Now the sun's come out, melted all the snow. Everybody's going to realise they don't actually need a 4x4 anymore because the funny thing is, people are like crazy. As soon as the snow hit, they all needed a 4x4 despite the fact it's the first time we've had it that bad for ages. But there you go. Anyway, so we're beginning to fill the showroom up again a little bit. So... but I'm not stressing about selling it right now because it's too close to Christmas. We're a couple of days away from Christmas, so I'm going to chill. But I think next we will focus our energy on getting the Kia cleaned and getting that marketed because I've been driving that for about a week now. I haven't got out of the thing. And it's not because it had a full tank of diesel in it. I had to put diesel in it. I just really like driving it. It's a really nice car to drive, but I have made it absolutely filthy and it does need to go up for sale now. So we'll get this cleaned up and get this up for sale. And then onto the little 106, get that tidied up for sale, and then it will be the Chevy. But I will, in between all that, try and get him back onto the Micra as well. Right, so the check has finally cleared for the Nissan. I got it back from the boys down at Moore's. They did that glow plug for me, dropped it straight back again. I have then cleaned it because it was dirty from being driven on the road. As I promised the customer I would before I picked up. Put some fuel in it. They've just rang me to tell me that they can't get here to pick up the car. Could I possibly drop it to them? Now, I do have to go over to Barnes and pick up the Mercedes that I bought. And another car that I bought today, which I'll show you a little bit later on. That just phone call came through on that and I've agreed to buy it. So it's going to get dirty again. After spending an hour or so cleaning it, it's going to get dirty again driving down there. So, flipping it, what do you know? But anyway, let's get all the cars out before Christmas. Well, what a day running around that was. So we... picked up the Mercedes. My goodness, this car drives so well. Obviously got a chance to drive a bit further now. I tell you what, driving this, putting it up against that 2015 automatic Discovery, I think this thing drives smoother. Really, I just can't get over. I've had a few of these now, haven't I? I've had a CLK AMG myself before. Then I had a 281. This 320, it's absolutely bang on. It drives so nice. I cannot get over how quiet the engine is when you're inside the car. Unless you're booting it, you really can't hear it. And that gearbox moves so smoothly. Yeah, total bargain. This car drives so nicely. I mean, yes, people have been in the comments going, road tax is high, and don't look at cars like this. If you're worried about road tax, don't come look at it. If you pay it monthly, it's going to cost you what, like £30 a month? £30 a month to drive it versus what, you know, yes, you can go out and get yourself a Nissan Micra and pay, you know, £5 a month or whatever, but I'd rather spend the extra 25 quid, to be honest. 25 quid, I mean, people think nothing of going getting around and drinks and pissing that down the drain later on, do they? So no, I think that's a fantastic car. Absolutely fantastic. It's gonna. I was half tempted to get the jet wash out, even though the sun's going down, because I just want to see what it looks like cleaned up. But yeah, too late. Got the Ignis back. So if you remember, the MOT took ages because the headlight adjusters weren't working, so I had to adapt to Rover 25 ones to make it work. Then the springs broke. Well, sorry, the springs needed doing on the back for the MOT. Couldn't get them anywhere. I had to get them genuine from Suzuki to make sure they're the right ride height, because obviously this is almost a rally homologation car, isn't it? They did a lot on these. They dropped them 50mm. They put these lightened alloys on it. They lightened the flywheel. They reinforced the chassis, took the sound deadening out. So a lot of the stuff on this Ignis isn't the same as a standard Ignis. So that is a bit of a game getting the bits for it. But just had a hoot driving that back as well. But that is going to have to be sold, because I've got the Suzuki Swift and I just can't justify keeping them both. So now it's got its fresh MOT on it. I was worried the timing chain might be bad on it because it made a little bit of a noise when you started, but the boys have checked it out and apparently it's the starter just overrunning a little bit. So I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, it's got its fresh MOT on it. And I think, yeah, we'll have to give that a polish up and get that out of the door as well. I'm fast becoming like a budget sports and classics place, aren't I, with all the stuff I've got in there, with the Jaguar, the S2000, this, too many toys. And this is the car that we're gonna have to do a proper video on. It's too dark for it now. Well, actually no, we won't. You guys get a bit bored of me doing almost like full sales pitches on cars, aren't you? So picked this up a minute ago. It is a ASX in a really nice metallic red. We'll get some shots of it when it's in the light. The thing is absolutely mint. It's a 63 plate. There is just a ridiculous service history with it. We'll go through that in another video. And it is absolutely spotless inside and out. It's the 1.6 petrol rather than a diesel, which I do get asked for. You just can't see the inside, can you? I do get asked for petrol ones over diesel, because a lot of people know that if you're doing the smaller miles, the diesels really don't like it. It causes problems with them. And I think people are getting wise to things like DPF, dual mass flywheels, EGR valves, injectors, all these kind of things that go wrong with diesels. So unless they're doing the big miles, it's not worthwhile. So yeah, just a 1.6 petrol on it. But it's the ASX 3, so it's got everything. I think bar leather, I think it's got every feature on it. So we'll have a look at that, I say, in the light. But mileage is 103 on that. So not particularly low mileage. Not outrageous mileage for the year. But I was told by the guys that it was his absolute baby, this car. And he really looked after it. He's gone and got himself a new Suzuki or Kia, I don't know which he got, but it drives really perfectly. He's put winter tyres on it, which interestingly, as I've been saying to a lot of people, a two-wheel drive, interesting, like I've been saying to a lot of people, the tyres is what makes the difference on the snow. If you haven't got decent winter tyres on your 4x4, you're not going anywhere anyway. I do think this is a two-wheel drive though, this one. I'm pretty sure this is a two-wheel drive ASX. So 1.6 with a two-wheel drive ASX, but yeah, he's put winter tyres on it, which I think, to be honest, he probably got out of snow better with the winter tyres on it than someone with the proper 4x4 with standard tyres. But it's too dark for you now, isn't it, to see anything? So I think that'll have to be the end of the video and my ramblings. As you can see, as always, lots on, and we've got another car arriving tomorrow. So I best get myself home anyway. Catch you again soon. Thanks for watching.